Having never been conscious of experience in meditation, would you please explain what it is? Most of us are under the impression that meditation is sitting down and closing the eyes, chanting a few slokas, doing pranayama, repeating our mantra. That's all you can do. You are asking me, having never been conscious of experiencing sleep, would you please explain what it is? Most of us are under the impression that sleep is having a nice bath, drinking something warm, spreading the mattress, putting on some soft music, lying down and just let go everything. That's all we seem to be doing. But could you explain what is sleep? We never seem to have slept. If I just change the word meditation to sleep, this is what you are asking now. Can I explain what meditation is then? Not. I can give you a long talk for hours and hours about sleep. You are not going to understand it. I am awake, you are awake. So all we can say is do this. And then if you do, you will experience. If you have done all these what we said properly, closing the eyes, chanting few slokas, doing pranayama, repeating our mantra, and nothing else, then you would have understood meditation. I say close your eyes, chant few slokas. Even when you chant few slokas, you are not really chanting. I don't know what kind of this Sanskrit jaw-breaking thing, why this Swami should force us to do these things. Okay, when everybody does, I have to, okay, let me also move my lips. I don't understand anything about it. There are transliterations and translations, but I don't have time to read and understand all that. And of course, doing pranayama, I am already allowing the breath to go in and out. I don't know why he would want me to make it deeper. Well, let me simply do a little bit. And then repeating the mantra, When you repeat the mantra, where are you? You'll be thinking of somebody sitting in the Sivananda hall and talking to the person, or you will be traveling towards Bosworth. You are not really repeating the mantra. That's what. Many people think this way. You are right in asking this question. People want to know what is meditation. Tell me, give me the experience, then we will do it. Nobody can ever do it. You should have that faith. Faith means not simply blind. You should have the faith that yes, he has done this and experienced something. So he is asking me do the same. Let me do and experience it myself. You buy a recipe book. Vegetarian cookbook. Read it. Get it by heart. Repeat it. Every day you go at the dinner table, repeat, make it into a poem, probably the recipe, and half an ounce of bread, 1 ounce of dal, sing it, and then come out. Make a nice poem, even guitar, play guitar. Yeah, the recipes can be made into poems, no? When even grammar, dictionaries are made into poems. In India, in those days, we got by heart the grammar and dictionary because they were made into poems, small poetries, and it's easy to remember. So you can, that's a good idea, somebody can write poems for recipes. So you don't need the book once you get by heart. And every time you feel like eating upma, sing the song. That's fine. Theoretical. You have to do it. When you repeat the mantra, you repeat just the mantra, nothing else. How long? Don't worry, repeat. If I say 10 minutes, you are not repeating the mantra. You are looking at the watch. When the 10 minutes will be over? Or when the Om sound will happen? No. Forget everything and repeat the mantra. Then you just slip into meditation. Meditation is not that somebody can explain and make you experience. It's something like sleep. I can give all the preparations for you to experience meditation, and that's what we do. God also is something like that. Buddha never said anything about God, but he gave you all the recipe. If you follow all that what he said, then you really experience something, and that something is what you call God. He didn't say anything about nirvana. Often you read about attaining nirvana. He never explained what nirvana, when you attain nirvana, what will happen. No. He simply said, do this, do this. This is all what you can do, I can tell you. But that comes after you finish doing. And I cannot tell you. Yeah, many people don't enjoy meditation because they are not really doing what is to be done. It becomes a sort of ordeal even to go to meditation. Why? Because you don't enjoy it. Why? Because you don't really work towards that. You don't read the recipe book, you don't gather the materials, you don't cook well, take time to cook. You just want somebody to cook for you. Regarding physical food, that's okay, somebody can cook for you. Even then, he cannot eat for you. You have to eat. You have to digest. Sadhanam indriyondre sadipparu ulagil. There is a lot of philosophy going on about, there is nothing to achieve, there's nothing to do. If there is nothing to do, then why do you eat? There is nothing to do. You eat. You want to have all comforts. You have to sleep, you have to walk, you have to go here and there. Sometimes you want family. Get married, get children. Why don't you just, if it comes, all right. If a wife comes, let her come. If a husband comes, let her come. Why do you look around, winking at everybody? There's nothing to achieve. It's easy philosophy. There is a lot to achieve. Don't be deceived by this, there is nothing to acquire, nothing to achieve. ultimately you will know that you have not achieved anything new. There is an achievement. There seems to be a new philosophy slowly creeping in. We cannot be deceiving ourselves. At one level it is okay, but you are not on the level, you are still in the rock bottom. Yes. When you really gone to that level, there is nothing to achieve. You realize it. But you don't tell others that. Something like, I don't need to meditate, I don't need to chant, I don't need anything of these things. I don't want any yoga. Hatha yoga, mantra yoga, kundalini yoga, tapa yoga, ashram, disciples. I don't need anything. Then why am I here? For me? No. I seem to be needing everything. Why? Not for me. Sometimes people ask me, why do you still do meditation? Why do you still do puja? Or this or that? Well, if I don't do, you won't do. I don't need to, but I do for your sake. You have to. That's why. I don't need to, but you have to come to my level. It's something like a big tree doesn't need a fence. It's even an offense to put a fence around the tree. But a young plant needs a fence. Who are you? Are you young plant or tree? If you are grown-up tree, you don't need a fence. Why are you here then? You don't even need this place. You can be going somewhere and do this kind of work yourself. When I came in the beginning, I was asked not to even be in the crowd of a particular type of people. To be more frank, the hippies, the so-called flower child, the bells and beads and drugs and things like that, because they even said that you are going to be contaminated by it. But I knew it won't affect me, and it didn't. It's something like you ask a doctor, hey, don't go into the hospital. There are a lot of contagious people, a lot of sick people. You will become a sick man. Don't go in. Then why a doctor then? That's what. Don't simply copy a person who says, oh, there's nothing to achieve. I am okay. You are okay. Fine. He is in one level. But he should consider the people to whom he is talking. Otherwise, I am not doing my job then. So don't simply be deceived by these things. You have to work hard to achieve something. It might be something like a contradiction. Other night I would have said, oh, nothing to be achieved. But that seems to be, people seem to be taking it easy that way. Oh, there's nothing to be achieved. Why should I do all these things? That's easy. No. Until you reach that level, you have to work hard. Once a saint by name Nandanar said, Aye metta kadinam. Oh, it's very difficult to achieve. Then several years, several hundreds of years later, Ramana Maharshi said the same thing but little differently. Ayametha sulabham. Totally opposite. What? Oh, it is very easy. He just used the same term, same sentence, but he said, oh, it is very difficult. Here, oh, it is so easy. Who is correct? Both. That's what. It may be easy to me. Is it easy to you? You should question. So don't just imitate others. You should know where you stand. If you need it, take it. That's why meditation is something that comes after your hard work. Because the mind runs around a lot. You simply say that, oh, you are happy. Earlier a question was put, why should I think of going round and round? Well, why not I take another birth and another birth and another birth? I am happy. Well, if you are happy, you won't even ask this question. You are just happy. Why worry about all that? Are you really happy? Many, many times people think that they are happy. Their happiness seems to be depending on things. As I gave the other story the other day, the tiger is frightening, the crocodile is frightening, and in between you are dangling for your life and a drop of honey falls on your lip and how happy. This is what you call heaven. You can't fall down into the well, the crocodile is there. You can't climb up, the tiger is waiting there. That little makes you so happy. Oh, honey, honey, honey. Fools pay this big price to learn lessons. Intelligent people will learn lessons even from others' example. I see many people doing this. And in the way I allow them, okay, go ahead, do. Experience yourself. Get burnt, then you will know what it is. Because my words will not help much. I know even here in this ashram, sometimes I tell people, I say it's no good, it's not really that nice, you are not going to be happy. Oh, no, I'm going to be really happy. Okay, fine. Experience yourself. Now they experience what it is. But the pride will not want them to admit. Okay, go ahead. Until you really get caught and get burnt and cry, I'll let you do that. Go. Experience is the best teacher. And you get the experience, you should do something. Experience won't just come without doing anything. If you are already experiencing that, you don't need to worry about it. You don't need the ashram, you don't need, wherever you are, it's fine with you. So don't just deceive yourselves. Vedanta is fine. Oh, aham brahmasmi. Swami Satchidananda used to say, oh, aham brahmasmi, aham brahma. Swami sometimes, in Himalayas, Shivoham. What does it mean? I am Shiva. Shivoham. He will say, come on, take a small scorpion and let it bite. Let it sting. When the scorpion stings, Shivoham, they should, well, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, why do you worry about it? Shivoham, I am neither the body nor the mind. But if somebody brings an ice cream, and oh, come on. That's not for the Shiva, just the poor body needs a little. So, don't be deceived by all these things. You should just know in which level you are and begin from there. Even in going to the school, when you go to the higher classes, sometimes you just go without anything in the hand. Maybe a small notebook in the pocket to take notes. The lecturer just gives a lecture, you sit there, if you like, make a note. The lecturer never worries whether you listen or not. But when you go into elementary school, you have to carry the notebook, slate, paper, pencil, everything, this many books sometimes. And the teacher will, come on, show that to me. Did you write? Come on, let me see. Every minute he checks you. You can't say, well, look at that man, he just walks like a gentleman into the classroom, why should I carry this many books? I say, you can do it when you go to that level. He did this when he was like you. Don't imitate him now, you are still young. You need all these things. You have to have a clay horse to say, this is a horse, right? H-O-R-S-E, horse. All the visual education. So, level of understanding varies. So, you should know in which level you are.